Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on homeopathy with our beloved Dr. Pachegaonkar. Namaste, sir. You know, this is a time of COVID, and some see it as a time of great fear, others see it as a time of the government insisting on vaccinations, the wearing of masks, social distancing, and so much more. Dr. Pachegaonkar is an expert in this field, and he has cured many people of the COVID. So, sir, where do we begin with this whole program? And perhaps we have to continue it one or two more times also, so we fully cover it. Please begin where you feel best.
So basically, this SARS virus, this COVID-19 is one of the strains which has come up after many years. And this strain, being new, so SARS virus, being new, the antibodies were not easily formed. But we have seen, like typical virus, much depends upon the immunity of the host. And we have seen that the persons having very good immunity, innate immunity in them, they just developed a mild syndrome. Mild syndrome in form of some symptoms, be it sore throat, be it fever, and some vague symptoms like even loose motion, pneumonitis. And as it used to attack the lung tissue, parenchymatous tissue, in the form of pneumonitis, and it used to be infected in people, especially people with comorbidity. And here, as it's a new virus, even people got confused about its transmission and all. Initially, there was a lot of confusion. Initially, they say it can transmit through droplets with close contact, like say 1 meter distance. Then they say no, it can even be transmitted from 2 meter distance. Then there were like experiences where people said no, the droplets may be just floating in the air and you would get like an airborne infection. But one thing is clear, that if healthy person comes in close contact with the affected person or carrier, we can call, definitely in close contact there will be definitely some droplets being sprinkled when one speaks or sneezing or even with a breath, and transmission happens. And the route used to be through respiratory. So the first thing which was advocated was mask.
To wear a mask.
Yes. So in mask, what happens, if person is affected, he will release that infection outside.
But I have heard that the droplets are much finer than the best masks.
Yes, again, what I would say, at least they won't fly so much. They will just confine to that distance. They may leak out to that. But not necessarily they will be sprinkled to 1 meter distance. At least that much help can be there. Another thing is, suppose the person who is healthy and not carrier, he also, because of wearing mask, maybe easily things will not go directly in the nostril. Definitely there will be screening. And they say that if the best mask, like ideal mask like N95, that would be able to filter it. Then there the concept came that you wear 2 layers of mask. So definitely in transmission, mask can be helpful. It should be helpful in preventing transmission.
But excuse me, but I've heard also, reading some of the frontline doctors, that the masks seriously inhibit breathing. and
Yes.
they could have a very negative effect.
Naturally, what happens? If there is a mechanical barricade, even psychologically and even otherwise. See, these masks are designed in such a way that whatever essential ventilation is there, that is ensured, even while designing the mask. But what happens, some people, they themselves develop sort of reflexes where they just can't breathe. Like you must have seen the people with claustrophobia. In closed space, when people in air conditioner, 10 people can be fine. There should be one person who is claustrophobic would be suffocating. Really, we have seen people, they just get suffocated, they live in aeroplane or in air conditioned room. So, barring those things, I don't think mask will be that harmful, and it is not supposed to be worn for 24 hours. Only when you are in communicating with the people, when you are in crowd, when you are among vulnerable people, or you are vulnerable so others should be protected that. So for example, if someone goes out and gets probably contaminated or vulnerable and comes home, and if the person is wearing mask only by interacting with the people and in one's own home, the mask can be there. So totally, if you are wearing mask for a while, it should be a good protection. So definitely mask should be advocated worn wherever there is vulnerability. Now, because of it being mechanical device, definitely wearing it would lead to some sort of a discomfort. Like I have seen some people, suppose it is an air conditioned hall. Now, whatever contamination is there, the same air will be circulated, and in that room, if some people they have to drink, so for drinking they will just unmask themselves. And definitely that moment is where they are vulnerable. So there is no point in wearing mask where you just open it for drinking tea or water. So same thing in centrally air conditioned airports or aeroplanes. This care has to be taken that at least you don't open your mask when you are in close space with the people. Otherwise, wearing mask would definitely prevent. And the whole idea in wearing mask and preventing EDC, we always have a concept that like measles, chickenpox, in India, every individual in some of the other age span contacts measles and chickenpox, and they go through it and they develop immunity.
So it's the same in the West. Same in the West.
Same thing will happen with even COVID. You can't eradicate this virus. Virus will remain. It may become dormant, or maybe you would not be susceptible to it, but definitely it would remain. So we always look forward to getting, we can call it herd immunity or whatever. But at least people will be going through this infection in a subclinical phase, where you don't develop a COVID-19 syndrome or something. You just have it, mild symptoms, that too in subclinical phase, and you recover.
Do you feel it was man-made?
That's a different.
Difficult.
See, man-made, it can be intentionally or unintentionally also, if some research is going on. And if during the research, if the virus escapes, then few people will call it, there would be sharp lines where it is intentionally they are released or unintentionally it were wrong. But definitely there have been laboratories where a lot of research is going on virus. See, even when that HIV came, AIDS, that time also same thing they were telling, that they were conducting experiments on monkeys, and that time the virus got, released, unintentionally or intentionally. But the same thing. So there is no point in blaming. We have to just see the remedy instead of going like to the source, because there are thousands of varieties of organisms being mutated, so there will be no end to it. Even in COVID also, there will be so many strains coming up, and mutation is natural. Now, if one virus is created in laboratory, but it goes on getting mutated, and new strains will be there. Now, lot we have to learn from this COVID-19, because we really don't know that if someone gains immunity against this COVID-19, develops wonderful antibodies. Once you develop active antibodies, it's an active immunization. If you contract COVID-19 and develop antibodies, it is like active immunization you got. But then in subsequent strains, we really don't know whether it will be beneficial to have immunity against first strain, or it would be a minus point to have immunity against earlier strain. See, unlike I tell you dengue. In dengue, what happens if I contact one strain and I recover, I develop antibodies. Subsequent strain, if it is same strain, I will be just immune to it. But if it is a different strain, there is a possibility that my system will be developing those antibodies which will not be complying with the new strain. It may not be controlled. Rather, with this conflict, the platelet count also gets dropped. So it is sometimes harmful, more harmful if you get subsequent strains.
Interesting.
That happens in dengue, it is known. So we don't know in COVID-19 also what happens with a different strain. We are just studying. And there are at least 3 major strains which we have located. But we really don't know if there is a cross infection. So same thing with the vaccination. See, this is first time we saw that 2 shots were recommended. Initially they said the first shot you take and then in 1 month another shot. Now they say 3 months. Now we have seen that people who have had COVID, they develop antibodies, they were detected, and still they are given vaccination after 3 months. And the logic they are giving is that the antibody level drops down after some time. But this is not phenomenal. When someone contracts the disease and develops antibodies against it, whole life the person will not be maintaining the level of antibodies. It will come down. But the knowledge of developing antibodies will remain. So in future, again, this is what happens with measles and chickenpox also. That the moment someone comes in contact with this, within minutes antibodies will be definitely formed. So you don't expect that whole life the person will have antibodies level. So it is illogical to give vaccination to the person who has had COVID and recovered. But now they are giving. In medicine, what has happened is now super specialization has come. In this age of super specialization, the biochemists are looking after this antigen antibody tests. Antibodies, especially biochemistry people or microbiology people. Whereas the disease persons are treated by physicians. And the vaccination and immunology or the epidemiology study is done by preventive and social medicine people. So there it's very difficult to have one opinion among these people. The laboratory people have the laboratory study, the preventive and social medicine people have their epidemiology study, and clinicians they have actually experience of treating the people and recovering them, and even with the diagnosis. So in COVID-19, we have been learning so many lessons that a lot of confusion has been there about the course of vaccination. Many people we have seen that they did not have COVID syndrome, but they developed antibodies. Now there is a survey in India that 70% population has antibodies against COVID. What does it mean? That many people have had the infection, they did develop antibodies, but they never had COVID disease. So in a subclinical form they are in, and if the person has developed antibodies, logically there is no point in giving the vaccination.
Now, there are many types of vaccinations that have come out, and it is reported that many of them are not studied sufficiently. Can you address some of these? We have Moderna, Pfizer.
That's really gray area. The formulation.
I'm sure it is a gray area.
Gray, completely gray area, because these trials also, they are in handful of people, very few subjects, and that too on human beings. Basically, trials are done on like rats, monkeys, and all, but trials on human subjects involves a lot of ethical, procedure. And ideally, what vaccination should be is the attenuated virus. So the virus which is not that potent, that is what we call attenuation. An attenuated virus, if it is injected or subjected to entry in some person under experiment, that person develops antibodies. And this experimentation is done, and so that attenuated virus then is injected as vaccination in so many people. But nowadays, instead of attenuated virus, they just isolate sort of a RNA component and which imitates the virus, and that is injected and body develops antibodies. This is how the hypothesis goes. But like all laboratories have their own trade secrets and lot of things are there. Then what experiments they have conducted in field, even there also there will always be a doubt. So, but best thing is, here what we do as clinicians is, we study some people who are vaccinated and they develop antibodies, and we have seen this. This COVID-19 shots, the people who received, they did develop antibodies. Now it's very difficult to attribute it to vaccination alone, because it's quite possible that we don't have a study where before vaccination we tested and then after vaccination we tested.
But everything has been in a rush.
Yes.
We've covered masks. What about this social distancing? Address that for a little bit. How important is it?
See, we say like we handle things. So hands, if you just clean on and off, even with a plain water, should be fine. That is one thing. Second, definitely social distancing, if it is maintained, like there should be no crowding and all. Naturally, the transmission will be slow. When people are in one-to-one contact, that too with hardly see, like we are traveling in train, bus, and if it is crowded, definitely one infected person can infect even 100 people in one go. This is what we have seen in marriages. In Maharashtra, we have seen that one marriage ceremony, and within 3-4 days, hundreds of people were affected. They were positive. So definitely social distancing will help in slowing down the transmission.
I have heard, of course this is third party, that if you stood in the sun, in 2 minutes COVID could be killed.
Yes, this is right. Not only COVID, any contaminant becomes dormant. The virus is opportunistic. It can't be living in an environment which is not conducive to its multiplication. So definitely it can be active. if it is exposed to ultraviolet rays, direct sun. So is with heat also. They say it is above 60 degree. If you have 60 degrees Celsius, it comes alive. It becomes dormant, inactive. So this is normal.
It becomes dormant and inactive.
Inactive.
Does it occur again after that?
See, that is actually again an area where the virus, the very label virus itself indicates that. This virus is a non-living thing so long as it is dormant. It behaves like non-living for years together. But definitely, if it is exposed to ultraviolet rays, the possibility of it getting again activated is removed. Otherwise, it can. Like here, they were telling that on wood it would be 48 hours it can got, active. On plastic, it may remain for 5 days. I know so many things were there. So we have seen some people who were keeping even by courier, if they get medicines, they would keep in sun for 5 days. For 5 days away, and then use it. Then people really got paranoid about all these things. And just ask, you just remove the wrapper and throw it out. Medicine is inside. But people were not doing it. They were keeping the whole parcel for 5 days in quarantine and then handling it. So much of sociological study has to be done, like how the impact is the whole population goes paranoid about it. It's like a phobia.
Well, we have so much more to cover, and our time is up today. But I would like to invite you all to come to our next series when Dr. Pachegaonkar will talk about his work in curing the COVID. A very important work, and we will continue with this series as long as is necessary. You may certainly give your questions, offer your questions to Dr. Pachegaonkar and to me. My email is narada, Narada 12@gmail.com, and yours is
dr.uddareshwar. It's my first name, Uttareshwar, @gmail.com.
Namaste. Thank you, sir.